been around for a while. Look at all we've been through. All these diamonds, all these chains, I think it's time to see you. Never mind about this group, it still never be you. You're smarter and you got a passion like a smile on you. I got a Glock on you, got it locked on you. Make it a splash for you, I like that ice on you. I be around the block just to change the weather for you. You come in bigger waves, you got my on you. Tell these haters no way, I'm gonna marry you. And it ain't no debate, I'm gonna die for you. Shorty, you drive me insane. On your ocean I sink. All that money that we're spending, call it isn't the pain.
You look so amazing, I've been thinking about you lately. Please tell me, are you ready? Pillow when I got you, you're my number one. I'ma always keep it true when it's under sun. I'ma always keep it true when it's under sun. I've been thinking about you lately. Please tell me, are you ready?
Woke up in the morning with a lot of bad news, and somebody got shot and nobody can undo it. Can somebody do it? Nobody can do it. Nobody can do it. Nobody can do it. I hope you stay safe, I'll clean those tears off your face. I'ma keep it running, I'ma do the paper chase. All this niggas hating cause they can reach the pace. Cutting all this on, yeah, straight up to the bank, yeah. Girl, you are the one I'm finna pay for. Knocking at your front door, get them this on man though. I'm with a drum and shit, I'm never prepared for. I got a shoot diamond ring up inside a Lambo.
You look so amazing, I've been thinking about you lately. Please tell me, are you ready? Pillow when I got you, you're my number one. I'ma always keep it true when it's under sun. I'ma always keep it true when it's under sun. I've been thinking about you lately. Please tell me, are you ready? Please tell me, are you ready? Cause I've been feeling lonely.
Shawty, I've been waiting
For you only.
Yeah.
I am the future.
We are the future.
Ba't si Kuruman? Apa pa naman dyan sa mga kanulungan ko lalo? AKA, umpa na nga Chocolate Kid! Leo in the building. Yes, yes, yes. I know. Let me give myself some hands. Oh, unfortunately, you guys cannot hear that. But anyways, welcome to the Global Sunday. It's another day. It's another Sunday, baby. You're about to have some fun. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm really sorry. We're running a bit late. If you have been following us, you know exactly what we've been doing for the past 2 weeks or a week. We're going to talk about that. But I would like to just send my apology to all our viewers and our followers. I see you, Andile Lata, in the building, and Bongum Somi, shout out to you. I see you guys are in the building already. It's gonna be fun today. As I'm sure you can see on the description section that we have a surprise today for you guys. And if you're watching the show yesterday, the event, Raina and Friends, you might have a little clue who we have on the studio today, but keep guessing. If you want to guess right now, send a comment below. Let me know who you think is in the studio today, and I will have a prize for you. Welcome. Talking about that, I'm just going to go straight to it. Today is going to be a part one, when we have like really, really big dogs in the studio, there's always part one and part two, because, here we're dealing with people who are serving the communities, they always have something to do. They are needed somewhere. They're always going up and down. And we are fortunate that they are here in our studios in Arizona. Oh, wow. This is so amazing. I don't want to go straight to it somehow. I don't want to go straight to it. I just want to I want to give you a chance to comment below and let me know who is in the building today. Yeah, you have 30 seconds. You have 30 seconds to guess. And if you guess right, I promise you, I'm gonna send you some flowers wherever you wherever you are. Let me play this video again. This Julian. If you remember, we had Julian previous week. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was last week or 2 weeks back. But he's also a dancer, good young man from LA. But yeah, I'm gonna just play this video, and then when we come back, I hope you going to give me the right guess. Guessing? Guess. Yeah, guess. All right, I'll see you when you come back. Aka Umfana Ka Chocolate Kid. This is the Global Sunday. I'll see you right now.
I am the future.
We are the future.
Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready? Please let me know if you can hear me properly there at home. Yeah. Let me know if you have any issues with sound. Drop me a comment below. Um, Ray, who? Raina? No, 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 no. Very close. Very close. Very close. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Okay, I'm just gonna reveal our guest for today. And also, I'm going to introduce Mr. Laden, one of our lovely hosts, also all the way from Arizona, USA. And I'm going to count in three, two, one. Are you ready for Frank and Machi in the building? Boo, 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 boo.
Welcome.
Frank and Machi, welcome to the Global Sunday. Mr. Laden, welcome to the Global Sunday too. Can you
And
hear?
the audio is cutting in and out in my studio here.
Right, right. Yeah, I just asked also if they can hear us properly, but I haven't heard anything from. Oh, okay. I'm listening, and your audio is okay on our live stream, and mine is okay too. It might be with you there.
Okay, it probably is something in my studio hookup. So
Absolutely.
just if I don't respond, I just know that I do not have the video feed and the audio is spotty.
Yeah,
So,
we just look at each other and do some sign languages. But
okay.
let's welcome Machi and Frank. Machi and Frank, welcome to the Global Sunday.
Thank you very much.
I
Glad to be
know,
here.
I know, I know people have been trying to guess, and no one got it right. So, someone said my family, and I don't know what that means. I think that's the correct answer. In a way, that's being smart. But let me welcome you to the Global Sunday Show, and maybe for a person who is seeing you guys for the first time, um, who is Machi, and who is Frank? That's a question. That's a question from me to you, Machi and Frank. Who is
I
Machi?
see.
Who is
All
Frank?
right.
I think.
Okay. So,
They're waiting to win another prize.
okay. That was for the viewers. All right. So, yeah. So my name is Frank van Tongeren, and I'm originally from the Netherlands. Currently living in Japan, and I'm a professional dancer and teacher. And yeah, I'm currently here in Prescott, Arizona, to help set up the new headquarters of the Margot Japan Academy of Ballet. And I'm very happy to be here. On to you.
Okay, so I'm Machi Muto and I'm from Japan and I'm also a ballet dancer. And yes, we are here to help set up the academy, Margaret Johnson Ballet. And yes, and because of that, yesterday we could join the great performance and we could share a great performance with a nice audience. So that was a great pleasure.
I think one of the interesting things for our public is that as when Reiner was on the show, I've appointed him to be the associate artistic director. In Margot Fontaine Academy, we've got two schools. We have an upper school and a lower school. And I have appointed Machi to be the director of the lower school and Frank to be the director of the upper school. And this is very, very fundamentally important. One of the things about MFAB is that everything we teach is something that the students can eventually use when they are professionals. So all of our faculty including our directors, of course, are professionals. So they know what you actually need in the career. Very, very pleased that both Machi and my appointment. And so as COVID era and incorporating all of the additional lessons we've learned from that, they will be the directors of respectively the lower and the upper school. And then our campus here in Arizona is the world headquarters and sets the pace and the bar for all of the programs around the world that we do. We have programs on 5 continents. And so that is, you know, a little bit more that they're a bit too modest to share with you about what they're doing here. And so I am thrilled to have them here, and I can't wait for all of you to get to know them.
Absolutely. I have a question. You know, now everyone knows that you guys are dancers, and you know, I can see a lot of people are excited because some of them they were watching yesterday, and we're going to be talking about that later on about yesterday's event, Rainer and friends. But my question to you guys is, what qualities, what qualities that defines an artist in your opinion? So for you, what is an artist? For you, what is an artist? So anyone of you can go first. Yeah.
Well, I would say an artist is someone that can really share with people all the colors of life, of what it means to be a human being, and the unlimited amount of flavors that has, and sharing that with the audience through art, which could be, of course, through movement, but it could be through painting, music, and I think a great artist is able to look to have people look into the depth of who they truly are. And yeah, that's what it for me.
What
And
about
Machi,
you?
what, oh, sorry.
No, I
Machi,
was
what
about
do
to
you
say
have?
we are about to ask the same question.
So for me, I think the artist is um, somebody who can really tell a story or different kind of emotion to the public and really speak with their profession to um, connect people, because we all have the same um, all the emotion, and everyone is the same in the baseline, but it's it's because of your um, how you grow up and what kind of environment you are
Mm.
in the out layer. Everyone is different, but like the artist is somebody who is able to really go to the bottom and come out all these layers out
Mm.
and connect people together.
Mm. Mr. Laden.
Yes. So, you know, a lot of people, when they think about a dancer or a singer, you know, and of course, most of what we see on the media now is not the small theater with 500 seats or 1,000 seats. We see Lady Gaga in a stadium with 50,000 people. You know, we see this kind of presentation to multitudes of people. Dancers are in theaters, and now you are professional dancers, but you're at the top ranks of professional dancers. So you mainly perform in the large theaters.
Mm.
A lot of people always wonder, what does it feel like to be in front of thousands of people? And so, well, what is that like? You know, try to make it real for them, you know, so that they understand about that, because that's a big dynamic that people are curious about.
Yes.
Mm, I mean, it's a great pleasure to share all the artism together and really tell the story. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, with a large audience, it's like, as much as was mentioning about connecting, I I feel like all these separate stories and all these individuals that come into one space, into the theater, that all have a very different background, different conditioning, different experience. But when they come together in the theater, they're all one, including and the artists, they kind of merge together into the art, or the if it's dance, into the dance performance, um, that is being presented. And how do they merge together? It's because they all recognize something within their own experience in life, or their own story in that which is being presented
Mm.
in the theater. Um, if it's really if it's really high class artistic performance, and that's the case. And I think that is really the goal
Mm.
also of the performer, that that's where the performer really, it's actually, I believe in that point it can be very, very peaceful. It's not actually, doesn't have to be intimidating, because that there's it's not like, um, showing off anything. It's not entertainment, or it's really, uh, connecting, and yeah,
You
just
know,
being
Liza,
being
I
one.
Mm.
Yes.
really once, you know, said, I don't know, I don't remember where we were, but that we were in a, and somebody said to her, why do you always put your arms out like that? Or you know, you're always just throwing yourself at the audience. You're always just promoting yourself. And she said, that's not what I'm doing. She said, look at how small my body is, and look at how much energy I need to do my performance. She said, that's my satellite dish. The bigger I can make my body, the more I absorb the audience. She said, my power is only as powerful as that's energy that I'm getting from the audience. And I thought that was you know, that certainly rings true to my experience. I've acted and danced and sung, and you really get that. And I know Lungani as well, you know, has talked to me, you know, when he was growing up and he was doing the festivals and things like that, about that energy exchange.
Mm. Yeah, it's true because it's different when you as I'm listening to Frank explains, you know, it's there are some people who consider themselves as artists, but they just want to be known. They just want to be famous, or they are just running away from some other things, and they, you know, do artistry just to hide, you know, from the reality. Um, but it's really incredible that Frank is mentioning that it's about storytelling. And so as Machi mentioned also, it's about storytelling and leading people also, leading people to, um, I remember last week I said, it's amazing that it can heal you, and also it can heal other people who are watching, especially when you're performing. You can be healed, but at the same time you can heal people who are watching you perform, which is so amazing. It's not about only serving people or serving yourself. It comes both ways. You see most of the time, maybe after the performance, people will come to you maybe in tears and saying, "Oh my God, that was amazing! You just reminded me of maybe my life when I was young, or you just reminded me of my mother, or it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing." And I think dance, is one of the art form that speaks to the public. And it's just so amazing what the body can do. Just so amazing. But I don't know. Do you have a question, Mr. Ladin?
Well, I think that something that is very interesting to the public in terms of your own career, what do you consider your greatest achievement? I know that my best performance was a performance that I was not at all prepared for. I had very little rehearsal. It was a very big deal. And there was this little stage manager, this little woman who was the stage manager, and she had this sort of aura of calm around her. And I was so nervous. And I went and I just stood next to her. And I went out and I did my best. And it turned out that was, in my estimation, the very, very best performance I ever give. What is your greatest success so far?
I would say, well, I as a performer, of course, there is, somebody, um, somebody there in the mind that would love to have everything in a particular way, you know, and but actually that's not the one that is performing. So I I feel the greatest success is those moments, those few performances where there is, it's like there's no, let's say, let's call that then Frank in that case, as in, um, more like a mental kind of identity, and there's none of that. There's just what is. Of course, there needs to be, all the preparations for that, and personal training,
Mm.
but it's yeah, it's happening as if it's fresh, new in that moment, and I experienced that a couple of times,
Mm.
and then it's more like as if as if you're, experiencing the everything just happening instead of, um, trying to make it happen. That makes sense. So that is, yes, what is, I feel, the greatest success.
Mm. Mm.
For me,
Machi?
yeah, I think when I don't need to think about the steps anymore, and I can really just feel what who I am, like in the character, and I can just when I can just play what's happening there. That's maybe that's my
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's really amazing. Like you mentioned before, Mr. Ladin, that I used to do um, tours and stuff like that. one thing that I've done in my life also that I was really proud of was, when I was working with the street kids. you know um it was so amazing because I looked at them as these people who choose to be on the streets, to live in the streets, because they don't have anything to do, or maybe because they are, you know crazy, or they are stupid, or whatever the case may be. But when I started spending time with them, you know I realized that these are people who are facing challenges, maybe from home, you know um, you know, but people who are not understood, maybe at home or in the communities, and they decide that, okay, because I don't feel like I belong anywhere, then I might as well go and live, on the street. I got to spend time with them and understand exactly who these people are, So I think that was, a great experience for me, and I would put it on the book of success also. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Mr. Ladin.
Um, I just a lot of times, when we sit around and talk, we performers, we talk about the problems we have and the problems we overcome and all of that kind of thing. And this greatest performance, I remember the great American ballerina Sally Wilson. Um, there was one one day that she was out walking her dog in Washington, D.C., getting ready for a Kennedy Center opening, and the dog ran out into traffic and she got hit by a taxi cab, and she had this huge bruise on her hip, and she was in the hospital. And Lucia Chase, the director, came into the hospital and said, "Sally, what are you doing here in bed? You have to perform tonight." And Sally's like, "I just got hit by a car." And Lucia said, "Yes, but why are you in bed? You need to perform tonight." And so Sally said that went from her underarm down to her knee was purple. Um, and so she said, "Okay." And she checked herself out of the hospital and she went to a performance. And the choreographer, Anthony Tudor, was in the audience, and he came back and to backstage after the performance, and he said, "Well, Sally, you defined the role tonight." And she said, "Well, I'm really sorry, but my hip was sore." And he said, "No, that's the best performance. I never even saw my own ballet until tonight." And so she said that it must have been she was so in pain, and she kept trying to lift up out of her legs that she was just flying through the air and everything like that. So you never know. You never know. Speaking of roles, how do you choose when you get to choose? How do you choose your roles? Both Frank and Machi. I know you've had a great deal of variety, and including La Strada, Frank, which I'd love for you to share a little bit about. But how do you choose which roles you do?
And would you mean like how do we choose the way of performing the role, or
No, how do you actually, do you ever choose? Like if somebody says, "Come and dance for us,"
yeah?
how do you decide what you're going to perform when you get the chance?
If we can choose, first of all, it's something we feel um, it's possible. I mean, we feel like we can um, give the good performance, and something probably we are able to really feel the character. Something we feel like naturally it's coming to a character. I think. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it may depend on the situation, of course. If it could be either that you know, if we know it's a performance where we really would need to deliver to the public something that is comes more natural. It may be that, but it could also be the other way around, that choosing a role that would challenge my weakness, for example, as an artist, and therefore by going through that process of becoming that character, and these weaknesses turn into strength, or rediscover something that, let's say, if I speak for myself, discover something that I didn't know was there before. So that could be also a reason to choose a role.
Mr. Ladin, I know that you were once a performer like 1,000 years ago, also, and this goes to all three of you. If you maybe let me make it a question, like if you were to be asked to play a role or perform a role or take a role that you don't like, do you do you say no, I cannot do it, or do you say okay, this is my work, I'm just gonna go for it? How do you deal with that? And if you say no, how do you say no? And if you say yes, how do you say yes? I mean, it's yeah. Please go for
Do you want me to answer?
it. Three of you.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
Well, first, let me just explain on behalf of all dancers that it's rare that you get, I mean, you're in a company and the company has a director, and the director isn't like a person directing traffic. The director is more like a commander commanding an army. In other words, you are given an assignment and that is what your assignment is. And you don't often question your orders. We had a ballet once that, I mean, we were a classical ballet company, and I don't want to show any disrespect, but one of the choreographers came in, and they had a big candle in the middle of the stage, like 6-foot tall candle. It was lit. It was about, this big around and really tall. And this big gold thing. And we were all in robes, like from our neck to the floor. You couldn't see arms, legs, anything. And all we did was we went in a circle and we go in and we jump up to the candle and go back. And that's all we did for, I don't know, a long time. And the night before the opening night, I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be alive. I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to wear a bag over my head. It was just so embarrassing to do this choreography. And I was very despondent. And my wife said, wait a second, I'm not from the ballet world, but the person who writes the music gets the review for the music. The choreographer gets the review for the quality of the choreography. The director gets the review for choosing that. You just get the review for dancing it. So just dance it. And that made it very, my God, I didn't, because I thought that I would everything wrong, but dance care a lot. That was a lesson for me that, your job is to dance it. And if you can find a way, you do. In the rare opportunities that I've been asked, like one time I was asked to perform in Las Vegas in a, I don't know what it's called. There was a Jeep driving and it had strings on it and a big, like a parachute, one of those sort of square arced parachutes. And I was supposed to perform. up in the air. And it was at night with a spotlight on me. And all I could think of was birds and helicopters and, like, and so I said, no, I can't do that, but that was more about that I'm afraid of heights, and I had never, paragliding, I think it's called. Yeah, I just, that's just not something that I would do. But anyway, that's enough about me. What do you think of me? No, I mean, what are your experiences, Frank and Machi?
I think for me also, like when I was asked to perform something I don't want to, I mean, I just think that it's like a spiritual practice, that because if we are always attached to something, like it's just a thing that come and goes, and I mean it's like, and like because there's all these roles, we have this great art on stage. So if this is missing, then that the art doesn't complete. So we need, like, I just think, I just, yeah, need to do this in order to complete the performance.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's similar. Mm, well, I mean, what Mr. Rudder was saying earlier, you may not be assigned to what you like, but talking about a spiritual practice, I mean, you don't always get in life what you like, but I believe you do get what you need
Mm.
in order to grow as a human being. Or yeah, so so you may have resistance sometimes with some role, but then that's where there's resistance, that's exactly the moment to be aware and realize, okay, this is where growth is, because there's resistance. Because if there's no resistance, it's all just only inside your comfort zone. Um, there's an interesting name for that I learned. It's called edging. So you're kind of, that's the edge of your
Comfort.
comfort zone, or there's some other word for it. It's like they call it like a peace prison, when you're always in the place where everything is just as the way you like it. You're in It's like you're you're kind of in peace, but actually it's a prison. It's a peace prison. So when you're given things that you may not like, but you're assigned to it, then that is etching against those walls of the prison. And if you just surrender and accept it, you actually expand those walls, and therefore uh, will really grow and experience much more than you would otherwise, staying in your bubble. So yeah, my takeaway.
Mm. Yeah. Mr. Len, do you want to add anything before we go to the news? Today we're just gonna hear from you what you have for us on the news, because I think
Okay.
it's really important for people to know, especially the COVID updates and
Yes.
the global news. Do you want to do that?
Yes, we can go ahead to the news. That's fine. If I were to add anything, I would just say that for those of you listening, you don't become great at what you do by refusing to do things. You become great by doing a great many things and doing them your best. So we will start with our welcome to the Global Sunday News. Today is September 12th, 2021. In the news today, we are not going to be sharing a video feed as we usually do. I'm just going to give you an update. This week's news is about the world coming to terms with things. First, it was the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks in the United States. In that anniversary, people are still coming to terms with what happened and how it has changed us, how it brought an appreciation for policemen and firemen who, and the way that they are required by their jobs. Talk about being given an assignment. You don't want to run into a burning building that's burning with jet fuel to rescue people, and yet you do. Also, we're coming to terms with the results in Afghanistan. The United States, the president is coming under a great deal of attack, of course, by the opposition, but also from some of his loyal followers about what has happened in Afghanistan. But now the Taliban government is coming to terms with the fact that if you don't play by the rules the entire world plays by, then you don't get support. Afghanistan is a very interesting country in that it does not have many natural resources at all, and yet it is strategically placed. Afghanistan has been invaded throughout its entire history for centuries and centuries, and the invaders always end up going back home because the Afghanistan people do not accept the imposition of outside force on them. Now, what has happened, and the great difficulty, is that the Taliban is a government regime that's based on a very strict and very extreme religious belief and enforcing that belief. But when they do that, they do not get any foreign aid. And when you're in a country that does not have a great deal of mineral resources or agricultural resources or human resources, or cultural resources, as we were talking here about today, must rely on aid from the outside world. And so they are having with their agenda, their religious agenda, and the reality of dealing with a world in which we must work together. After the Afghanistan, we have a new imposition of lack of freedom on the Chinese population. The Chinese government under Xi Jinping is really making strident moves to enforce power these days. People in America are required to wear a mask in public to protect the health of others, as if that is, and the people that do not like that, for them, that is an infringement on their freedom. Well, imagine you lived in a country where you were not allowed to play a video game more than 3 hours a week. A country in which you were not allowed to watch any news, read any books, get any information from the outside world, only what your government tells you. That is what is happening in China. I was in Russia, in the Ukraine actually, in Donetsk, at the same time 19 years ago that the Tiananmen Square uprising was happening. I was the guest of Vadim Pisarev and Nina Dorofeeva, the ballerina and dancer noble of the Donetsk Ballet. I was the first cultural foreign exchange under Glasnost and Perestroika. And when I arrived, both Vadim and Ina were trapped inside of the governmental palace at Tiananmen Square. And for 4 days, I sat in a hotel and people kept bringing me gifts and things, but people that weren't from the ballet world, they didn't know, what it was an appropriate gift. So I got some very interesting things. But then when Vadim and Ina, who were guests of the Gorbachevs, were finally able to get out, it made Tiananmen Square and that kind of lack of freedom really, really realistic to me. I could feel it. China is again moving in this direction. This is not positive for the Chinese people. And finally, we are having denial after denial, as usual, from Vladimir Putin in Russia for the things that the Russian government is doing, the poisonings, the killings, the hacking, the spying. It is very important right now in the world that we all come to terms with the reality in which we live. We are blessed in America and most of the West to live in parliamentarian democracies, meaning that the people choose who their leaders are, and the people can have new leaders. Xi Jinping just took out all of the term limits from the Chinese system, which Vladimir Putin did a few years ago. So both of those men can rule for their entire lives. We live in a society outside of those places where we are free, but we also have to come to terms with following rules. So as we go forward from this week and these anniversaries, the anniversary of Tiananmen Square was this last Thursday. As we go forward, look at where you are. Know what your actually is. Understand that we in deal of freedom, even though they're all terms with. And with that, back to our delightful guests in the Global Sunday. I'm Kenneth Ludden reporting for Global Sunday News. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ludden. And I think maybe we should just play a little bit, a clip from last week's news, so that if somebody doesn't know anything about what's happening in Afghanistan, you know, they can, you know, take it from there. And then also next week we'll give them updates on how everything's going. And then we come back from here. We're gonna talk some more with our special guests, Frank and Machi. See you in a moment.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on World News Tonight. We start off today's coverage with the dangerous storm in the move on the United States. A remnant of Hurricane Ida unleashes tornadoes and flooding in Maryland as the storm hammers the East Coast. New York City Mayor declared a state of emergency due to what he called a historic weather event.
Touching down in and around Annapolis, Maryland this afternoon, tornadoes on the ground for many miles after spinning off from Hurricane Ida that slammed Louisiana.
Please make sure you're inside. Please make sure you're in your lowest level of your house.
In downtown Annapolis, power lines and signs ripped down in front of businesses. In nearby neighborhoods, roofs torn off and trees uprooted. Meanwhile, in Frederick, Maryland, flash flooding caught a bus driver off guard. 11 school kids rescued as the bus was submerged. Throughout the day, Ida unleashing blinding lightning and torrential rain on the nation's capital. The D.C. metro area under flood warnings and a tornado watch well into the evening. Overnight, 3 inches of flash rain swamped the region, tearing down trees, flooding intersections, and trapping drivers in their cars. In Rockville, Maryland, hundreds were forced to flee their apartments at 4 a.m. when a swollen river sent a wall of water surging into garden-level apartments as people slept. Police say a 19-year-old man drowned in his apartment, unable to get out.
They are now advising that there may possibly be 2 more adults, and she believes they are underwater.
Firefighters used boats to pull people to safety. In all, 150 people displaced. 1 resident still missing. Tonight, Ida continues to unleash tornadoes, dumping record amounts of rain as it marches up the eastern seaboard.
President Joe Biden assured Ukraine's leader Vladimir Zelensky that the United States opposes Russian aggression, but he showed no sign of moving on requests to open NATO to the Eastern European country.
Ukraine President Zelensky making big requests as he meets his American counterpart Joe Biden in the Oval Office. In response, Biden promised that he was firmly committed to Ukraine's sovereignty, and as evidence, he put money on the table.
We're revitalizing the Strategic Partnership Commission between our nations, And we're also creating a new strategic defense framework and a new $60 million security assistance package.
The military aid will be used to fight Russian-backed separatists in the Donbass region. The war has killed roughly 14,000 people since 2014, when Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula. Another source of security concern for Zelensky, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The project will transport natural gas directly from Russia to Germany, allowing Russia to bypass Ukraine, depriving it of revenue from transit fees. In July, Biden decided not to apply US sanctions, saying the project had already been nearly finished by the time he got into office and could not be stopped.
As Kabul began a new era of Taliban rule, long lines outside banks and soaring prices in the bazaars underline the everyday worries now facing its population after a spectacular seizure of the city 2 weeks ago.
The new era of Taliban rule in Afghanistan was marked by the departure of foreign troops, bloody attacks on civilians by Islamic State, and now an economic crisis. The country has a sinking currency and rising inflation. More than a third of the population lives on less than $2 a day. Banks, which closed as soon as the Taliban took Kabul, have now been ordered to reopen. But that means hours of queuing thanks to strict weekly limits on cash withdrawals. Many offices and shops are still shut, and some salaries have been unpaid for weeks, meaning even the relatively well-off are struggling to put food on the table. This market in Kabul has been flooded with people desperate to sell their goods. Remittances from abroad have also been cut off, so many families are trying to sell jewelry or household goods, even if they have to accept a fraction of their value. Prices for vegetables were up to 50% higher, according to vendors, while petrol prices were up by 75%. Taliban officials have said the problems will ease once a new government is in place, but the structural problems run deep. The country has no significant exports to generate revenue, and aid, which accounted for more than 40% of economic output, has abruptly disappeared.
With growing uncertainties in Afghanistan after the US military's rapid exit from the country, the Taliban says it will announce tomorrow the formation of a new government. The group will be led by Haibatullah Akhundzada, and he will head any government council that will be established.
Following America's complete withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Taliban said Wednesday that its supreme commander will head any governing council in the country. Saying Haibatullah Akhundzada will be the top leader, the Taliban added there will also be a prime minister post. Akhundzada was appointed to the post in 2016 and since then has had the final word on the group's political, religious, and military affairs. The Taliban also stressed the new government will be a model for the Afghan people. Russia's state-run news agency Sputnik reports that the Taliban will announce the formation of a new government on September 3rd. Meanwhile, the Taliban is reportedly in talks with the governments of Qatar and Turkey on ways to manage Kabul airport, as it does not have sufficient air traffic control services after the U.S. withdrawal. Technical teams from Qatar are now in Kabul to provide assistance. Wishing to be recognized as a normal state internationally, the Taliban is aiming to quickly resume the airport's operations. This comes as the Taliban is exerting tremendous efforts domestically to fight anti-Taliban forces. The group has sent fighters to the Panjshir Valley stronghold of the National Resistance Front, which includes both anti-Taliban fighters and former Afghan security forces who have vowed to defend the region. The valley, which starts some 80 kilometers north of Kabul, is the main enclave for anti-Taliban forces in Afghanistan.
Welcome back. In COVID this week, we have some very major developments. The first is that using the Greek alphabet, we had the Delta variant, and after the Delta variant was the Lambda variant in Peru, which turned out not to take hold. But now we have the Greek letter mu, which is the letter for M, and the mu variant is becoming very virulent and very threatening. As a result of this, and as a result of the fact that now, at least in the US, Australia, and other places in the world, both that have had a bad track record with COVID and a good track record, the Delta variant is now causing higher hospitalizations and deaths and infection rates than all of the earlier waves of this disease. The United States government and President Biden has announced that they are making it mandatory for all government workers, including contractors, to have vaccines or be fined. The people who think that taking care of your health so you do not cause other people to be sick is an infringement on their own freedom, they are in outrage about this. As a result of this declaration of mandate by President Biden, approximately 80 million Americans will now have to be vaccinated if they are not going, if they're going to continue doing their jobs. Aside from that, what is striking about the Delta variant and what truly changes the game is the fact that there are countries in the world that have had very, very good track records. They have avoided widespread disease. They have done immediate government lockdowns, areas where government enforcement of law is more stringent and more immediate than in democracies like America. These places, which have kept themselves very virus-free, are now having major upsurges. In Japan, where the government recommends but does not dictate to its population, they have been now very hardly hit by the Delta variant. And so even the Japanese government is taking a stronger stance in what is required in terms of travel restrictions and requirements, etc. This COVID crisis is not anywhere near over. The only way that it will ever be over is when enough people receive the vaccine that there isn't ongoing infection in which new variants that are strong. This is not a political statement. This is not an opinion. This is scientific fact. The vaccines work. They keep you alive. Even though there are breakthrough cases, it is extremely rare that any of the breakthrough cases is going to cause any kind of hospitalization or death. But the worst thing that is happening now, as schools are going back into session, children are being infected. The pediatric intensive care units and hospitals around the world are now full to the maximum. Is a great progress being made on children, but children are adults. Their bodies are, the chemical composition of their bodies is different. Their ability to process a vaccine and create the antibodies needed is different than adults. Now, there is a lot of research that has been done, and the results are going to be coming in very soon. It is important to do this research so that the children truly are protected, because vaccines do make a difference in your body. They make your body develop a defense against something that the body has never met before. This requires the body to produce something that is called interferon. There are many interferons that the body produces, and interferon is the only thing that can kill a virus, and it is something natural. The vaccines stimulate the body to produce interferon. During the production of interferon, your body feels tired. It might have a fever. You might have some symptoms of brain fog, but this lasts for a very short time. And what happens as a result is the body defense specifically against the disease at hand, which now is COVID-19. and the Delta variant. So as we follow the news, please find news sources that don't tell you what to think about what you're hearing. Find news sources that give you the information so that you can think for yourself. If you value the elders in your life, if you value the children in your life, if you value the elders and children in other people's lives that you don't know, then it is the responsible thing to become vaccinated so that you do not become someone who is carrying that disease to those people you love and know, and those people who other people love and you don't know. Be reasonable and follow the best public health safety guidelines you're able to follow. For the Global Sunday News, that's a wrap up of our news coverage this week. We'll return to our show. Thank you very much for watching.
You are watching Global Sundays.
welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Global Sunday. And just a quick reminder today we are talking to Frank and Machi, huge ballet stars. Um, you guys are based in Japan, correct?
Yes.
Based in Japan, absolutely, absolutely. Look how fortunate we are to have a guest from all the way from Japan. That's really amazing. Welcome back, guys. Mr. Ladin, I know you had a question that you wanted us to touch on.
Well, what just happened yesterday is we did a gala. It was the first live indoor performance in the state of Arizona since COVID began. Frank and Machi prepared for this gala in Japan. A lot of it was on Zoom, and then came here and had a couple of days actually in physical presence. The other dancers prepared for this. They have been, the only performances they have done have been outdoor performances. They've done no indoor performances for almost 2 years. They have been taking even company class online in Zoom. They have been piecing together a living by teaching Zoom classes. And it's wonderful that we have the technology, but it's not nearly as effective as being in the studio with somebody. So I thought that it would be very interesting to talk about not just staying in shape, but improving and working on things, developing your skill, lifting continuing with your career during this COVID time, and using this gala as an example of what is and what is not possible, what makes it easy, what makes it more difficult. Helpful to our audience, because whatever you're doing out there, if you can't do it in the normal way, maybe you can take the example of classical ballet in the highest form and apply something from it. And if nothing else, just commiserate that we're all in this COVID box and we're doing the best we can, and we are doing remarkable things. Anyway, so I thought that might be a good topic to discuss for our viewers. I think they'll benefit from that.
Yeah, maybe I'll turn to our guest and
Yes.
Maybe they have something to share about COVID in terms of how has life been during this time of COVID, and then at the end, I believe they can share something encouraging for people who are watching at home, because I know they are well experienced and yeah, please, Frank and Machi, during the time of COVID, how has life been, and how did you manage to, whether stay in shape or, have that faith that things will be okay? How did you manage?
Well, again, I think if there is like a challenge, it, like we were talking earlier about getting out of your comfort zone, and I believe that COVID puts all of us out of our comfort zone, and it's definitely something that has to be resolved, or we have to find a way to live with this reality and continue our art form. But because there is this challenge, it will really like those that do continue in their profession, or in their, as artists, let's talk about artists, so that do continue, they will find new ways. They're maybe not optimal, especially like the difference, like Mr. Loden was saying, of being in the studio or being on Zoom. It's very different. But we find out ways to continue that otherwise we wouldn't. And I believe that once we do get out of this situation, or we find a way to, well, we will, and like when we get on the other side, it will all come together, because all that we've learned during COVID to continue as artists, which is of course very challenging, will then become an asset, and the things that the way that, you know, the very fortunate way that we could do our profession, as in being always together in the studio, having all these performances in theaters, and those that have continued will appreciate it much more afterwards. So I think this is a very important point, and I believe that that there will be people that realize how important art is now that it's not as accessible, especially not in a live in-person form. Of course, there will be some people that, you know, will lose contact of it, but the people that remain the artists that will remain will get out eventually stronger, and the people that the audience that will remain, I believe, will be more supportive than they were before, because they realize that the importance of it. So yeah.
Wow, I'm sure Machi wants to add on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big challenge for everyone, and yes, it's been, yeah, quite difficult to find a way for people, I'm sure. But I think also it's because of this we could figure out there's like many online things which is available, and we could find new ways of continuing things, and that's a good gift from this situation. So yeah, I mean, I think it's still many people having difficult time, but the important thing is to really appreciate and always be grateful for everything.
Mr. Laden?
In 1938. You laughing? Yes, yes, young man. There was a world in 1938, and it was not filled with dinosaurs. Although when I was not born, the young people always think the old people are dinosaurs. But Ingmar Bergman, playwright, and Henrik Eigel, who was his competitor, and Bergman wrote plays that were serious fine art plays, and Heigl wrote plays that were more, you know, entertainment, commercial plays. Heigl ended up being the manager for Bergman, and so Heigl wrote a letter, and he said, well, the elections are coming up next year, and it's the liberals versus the fascists. And I certainly hope the liberals win, because when the liberals win, it's very good for the arts. And Ibsen said, I'm sorry, my friend, but you are wrong about that. When the liberals are in power and it's good for the arts, everybody wants to be an artist. When the fascists are in power and it's bad for the arts, only artists want to be artists. And that is when we find our voice. So to what you said, I can't remember if it was Frank or Machi, about those who do keep doing it. It reminds me, Martha Graham, the great American dance pioneer, was asked once, what kind of dancers do you look for? What qualities do you look for in a dancer? Is it flexibility? Is it strength? Is it beautiful form? And she said, oh, no, none of that. I can teach them that. She said, I look for people who, if they do not dance, they will die. art guides society forward. Art is that flashlight in the dark tunnel of future. We don't know what's coming. We don't see an obstacle often until over it. Art shows us those obstacles. Art also shows us examples of people who have courage and kept going. Art asks difficult questions. Art can take something that seems like it's a big problem and make people realize, you know what? This really isn't a problem. This is just a person getting a lot of attention, you know? Art is so important for society. But more than that, art is the blood of human civilization. Okay? And fine art is the heart that pumps that blood, makes you go forward. As you were saying, Frank, makes you expand the walls of the prison of your own limitations you have for yourself in your mind. And so I do believe that in the long run, COVID is going to be very good for the arts. History shows us that every time there is a prolonged period of human suffering, there is a golden age of fine art that follows. Look at what happened with the Black Plague, leading us to the Renaissance. Look at what happened with the global collapse of the economy in the 1930s, leading us to have the most innovative new jazz music form develop as a fine art form and be incorporated. Two things that go up when times get bad is people buying booze and people wanting to be entertained or reassured. So since we can't bottle dance and ferment it, we just have to be happy to keep people entertained and reassured.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's especially dance. It's really amazing that you can just entertain people without needing any extra things. I mean, I know you might need music sometimes, you know, but you're just using your body, which makes it even more interesting, you know. One would just look at the body as something that needs to eat, you know, have fun, play, work, you know, but I think I have to give credit to human beings for discovering this kind of art form like dance, you know, because it's really amazing. Like when you look deeper, when you look into it, it's so much more than just dance. It's so much more than what people look at it as now, you know. I just really hope that at some point it is going to be taken very seriously because it's so amazing. It is so amazing. Yeah. But yeah, today, as we mentioned earlier on, that this is the introduction show for Machi and Frank all the way from Japan, and they were performing yesterday. Actually, if you want to watch the show, you can go to Diverse TV. You watch the show there, but you have to purchase the ticket, and we'll forward you the link of the entire show. But yeah, before we end our show, I'd just like to ask each of you, is there anything that you'd like to say to people who are watching at home before we close the show? And before you answer, I'm just gonna say hello to quickly to people who are watching. Hello Zulu Pavarotti, our regular. Hello. How do I? Hidali Gwili, something like Hidali Gwillian or something like that. Maybe send me a voice note on my inbox. Let me know how you pronounce your name. But that sounds like a cool name though. Vusizwane, shout out to you. Malimba, shout out to you. Tommy, shout out to you. Mama Mia, shout out to you. Mama Mia, I see you. I see you. Spamantla, I see you. Prince, I see you. Lou Velase, I see you. PC Nyanden, I see you. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna take those for now. And Spongile, I see you. Sorry, not Spongile. Bongiwe, I see you. And you are saying, welcome to TGS, our great icon. Feel at home. Oh, shout out to you. Yes. So, is there anything, guys, you'd like to share with people who are watching at home before we end this lovely show? I know I don't want to take your time. You guys been performing, Mr. London. You've been having like a very easy week.
Oh, simple, nothing at all to
So
do.
am I. So yeah, anything you want to share with people who are watching right now?
So thank you for watching the show, and so great to share this um our talk with you guys. And yeah, just stay safe and be healthy and just enjoy every moment.
Yeah, same from me. So thank you for Lungani for having us, and very happy that we could share about um, about what we do and why we're here, and this first introduction, and we look forward being back, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Stiladin, any
Well,
last words?
I want to say is thank you for watching. When we do these two-part are life changing in a way because the information to get to talk to these esteemed artists about reality, not the fantasy of what people think it's like to be famous and up on the stage, but the reality and the duty and the responsibility. And for you out there watching, whatever you do in your life, give it your all and start that journey from right in the middle of your heart so that your work can reach the most people. And I want to say, I love the fact that Zulu Pavarotti is a regular. Margot Fontaine started the Margot Fontaine Secondary School in Durban, South Africa in 1975. Zulu Pavarotti is a graduate, and he is a major force of arts, following in Fontaine's footsteps, as we all are. Other than that, thank you. Look, stay tuned for part 2, and you got to buy a ticket, but it's some of the best ticket money you're ever going to spend. Check out the link and go and watch what these two children, young ladies and men, did yesterday on stage. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you for tuning into the Global Sundays.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ladin. Thank you so much to our special guests, surprise guests, Machi and Frank. Yeah, if you want to see them performing from last night's performance, we will definitely drop a link below, and you are going to be able to watch the show. Bear in mind, you have to purchase the tickets. It's only $30. Thank you so much for staying with us. Same time, same place next week. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter, The Global Sunday Show. It's at The Global Sunday. Instagram at The Global Sunday. Facebook at The Global Sunday. And you can go to Diverse TV. And you can go to YouTube. It's Diverse Global TV. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Boo, 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 boo.